I'll ask the question of the board. Clearly, if we get involved in infrastructure development, that usually necessitates the issuance of debt, you know, paid back by sewer fees. If you're going to build schools and things like that, you build them and you pay them off by the taxpayers who use them. You know, that would incur taking on more debt generally, rather than, you know, making us pay for, you know, the schools 10 years or 50 years from now when you save up the money. That's that who pays issue, and that's what capital debt. I don't think this board, I mean, I'm not sure if we have no operating cost debt. That's the federal government when they borrow money to pay current salaries. That's operating. That's, you don't, you're not allowed to do it under state law. So the question I have in terms of debt is, you know, is it a tool we should bring to you as a method for having people pay for the services they're receiving? Or is that not a tool you want to have in the toolbox?
Debt.
I mean,
for
debt
capital
being one
expenditures.
of them, right, for capital projects.
I think that that needs to be paid off because it puts money back in our hands.
But do
The
you avoid? That's not the question. I mean, clearly, we're going to pay back the
What
debt.
you're talking about to me is a balance between the two. We have to reach that balance.
Well,
How much can we spend? We certainly don't need to go deeper in debt.
but if it's for a project you all want to see done, so that
It's
the
like
people,
EMS station.
EMS station, or
Yeah.
a school, or a water line, or a sewer line, the taxpayers at the time, or the beneficiaries, will be paying off that debt. They'll be paying off through the general property taxes, through the sewer fees, through water fees, through EMS fees, things like that. On the other hand, another alternative is that you say, no, we'll save up money, so we'll currently pay to build it for later. And they're two viable options. It's just, you know, from my perspective, you know, I don't want to bring you debt packages of, you know, pay as you go for the, you know, citizens to pay who receive it, if you want to do a save to build process. And those are the two basic
You want
functions.
to do, what was the last thing you said?
The other one is where you save up now, you
Okay.
put money aside for a project
Save up
later,
taxes.
so that we're paying for the services that'll be rendered later. And there's nothing wrong with that process. State of Virginia uses that a lot. It's a different way of doing things, but it shifts the burden of cost in terms of, you know, who receives the service versus not necessarily who paid for it, especially when you're talking about long-term projects like schools and water lines and things like that, where the debt runs typically 20 to 30 years.
Because it's the 20 or 30 years of life out of the
Yeah,
property,
right.
yeah, out of the project.
Personally, I feel like the EMS station and the library and everything is an investment in the future and services that the taxpayers deserve. And I feel like we need to borrow the money to build these now, to save lives and have different features. And I know personally, whenever I have a building built out in my business or my personal home, I borrowed the money, and then I paid it back. And you pay it like both, you pay it back quick as you can, get out of debt. But when you make investments like this, capital investments, you have to borrow the money. You don't have it on the hill. And to do these features, I don't see it. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. You got to do this to provide certain services for the citizens of this county, and they need them. They need it now. They don't need it 10 years from now.
I'm probably in the same area with Eddie. I think right now, if you're going to borrow money, the current economic climate and the interest rates you can get is going to be about as good a deal as you're going to get. And as things start rebounding and inflation hits, those costs 10 years down the road are going to be significantly more, I would think.
Yeah, we just borrowed some money at what, 0.87, 0.89%. That's a giveaway. But if I'm understanding it right from what Carl's saying, correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, but the two scenarios are, we borrow the money, put in the infrastructure, and the people that are paying for it use it now. If we save the money and put it in later, the people that are paying for it don't ever get to use it, or may not get. I wouldn't. If it were a 10-year project, I might not see it.
Yeah, depends upon but yeah, the question is, do you save up being taxed or raise revenue, put the resources aside now through either increased revenues or cutting other services to pay for something you're gonna build in the future, and, you know, or do you build something now and have the people who are benefiting from it pay for it? And it's two very viable ways to go. Like I said, if, you know.
So there's one point here that I think everybody is missing is it's kind of like our skilled workforce. If we don't keep skilled workers involved with the county, then another county is going to hire them out from under us. If we don't continue investing in our county, and Cleveland County does, Polk County does, Burke County does, guess where the industry's going? It's going outside of our county. Where's the people going? They're going to go where they do have these services. So either we've got to figure out a way to do this, to keep this infrastructure moving ahead, and these projects moving ahead, and our citizens are going to move out, or they're never going to move in. And we're not going to be able to capitalize. We're not going to be able to support our EDC. We're not going to have new developments coming in because all these other counties around us are putting them in. So either we make a commitment to be part of the game, or we take our toys and go home.
So I'm not sure how this, so obviously, in order to get this work done, you're gonna have to take on debt. If I rewrote this to say, explores ways to lower the cost of borrowing when possible, would that be something that everybody could support?